Allegedly, Gervonta Tank Davis has some more lawsuits against him. This happened after the Lamont Roach fight. It's happened in the past. This is nothing new for Gervonta's name. I mean, we've heard this multiple times, but these are new ones. Charges for like kidnapping and more assault charges and all that. And again, all this is alleged. It is reported, but I'm not going to sit here and criticize someone who I don't even know if they did it because who knows? This happens a lot to celebrities, but also there has been videos that suggest that Tank. It would not shock us all if Gervonta did this, and if he really did this, it is absolutely terrible news. But anyways, Gervonta was lined up to fight Jake Paul on November 14th in Miami at the Kaseya Center. That is now in serious jeopardy, where Jake Paul's team is now out searching for replacement opponents. They've contacted multiple opponents because you already have the deal with Netflix signed. So it's gonna be hard to get out of that without Netflix, without that taking a toll on your relationship with Netflix. Because obviously that's not a relationship that you want to lose, especially when they paid as much as they did for the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. Um, I know Jake said on one live stream that him and Tank were both getting like 50 million or something from this fight. So Tank very well could have just blown another $50 million bag for him and Jake because I don't know if there are any replacement opponents that would be as intriguing to the general public as Gervonta Davis was. Although the real boxing fans know that it wasn't insane fight, but to the general public and really the audience that this event's getting pushed to, a lot of people are intrigued because it's a real boxer. He's arguably in his prime. I'd say he's in his prime, although he has shown some slacking due to just I don't think his head's really there. I don't think he's really I don't think he really loves the sport, Gervonta. But yeah, a lot of people are very intrigued because of this, because of all these things. Although there was a massive size advantage for Jake, um, but then again, you had a size advantage for Jake, and then Gervonta obviously had a massive skill advantage on Jake. He's been fighting for way longer. Jake's only been in here for about 5 years, I believe, maybe a little longer, maybe a little bit shorter. I don't know the exact numbers, but yeah, to the general public, it was pretty intriguing. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I was pretty hyped to see it just because I was curious. I was curious how it was gonna play out. Because, like I said, there's a massive size advantage, there's a massive skill advantage. So, which one was gonna overpower the other? But apparently, we might not be seeing this because MVP did release a statement yesterday saying they're not going to comment anymore on it until things are confirmed. But it has been confirmed by like Chris Mannix and some other guys who were very, very reputable sources in the boxing scene. So it's most likely off. And I'll go on and run down on a few of the replacement opponents that were listed. Again, these were listed, these were reported by some boxing analysts and some other sources. Nothing's confirmed by MVP or Jake Paul's team or anything, but here's some names that got floated around a little bit. Obviously, if you're tapped into this, you know that the Ryan Garcia name was heavily floated around. They made an offer to Ryan Garcia's team, and I do believe that was true because Oscar De La Hoya even came out and made a video about it and said that the fight was not going to happen because Ryan fights on DAZN. He's signed with Golden Boy, which is on DAZN. Jake Paul and MVP are on Netflix. Even though MVP is actually signed with DAZN, they are doing this big event on Netflix because all of the MVP prospect shows and even Jake's other pay-per-views, like the Julio Cesar Chavez, the Mike Perry, all those fights, they were all on DAZN. But there was a little bit of weirdness to that because you know Oscar De La Hoya has let Ryan Garcia fight on what was Showtime at the time when he fought Gervonta. When Ryan Garcia fought Gervonta, that was not on the zone. So, also another fight announcement just got made, which was Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios, which is, I believe, going to be half on the zone, half on Amazon Prime Video. where the PBC pay-per-views are now. So that's a very intriguing fight. We'll dive more into that as time gets closer or as it gets confirmed, but it does seem like that's going to happen. But anyway, yeah, Ryan Garcia was floated around for Jake. I know we've seen a lot of footage of those two going at it, or reportedly going at it, I guess. If whether you say it's real or not, the fake beef, because I do believe they're friends and they have done podcasts and videos together. But they've been kind of anticipating a fight together. So when I heard this name floated around, I thought it would happen because obviously Ryan's coming off a loss to Rolly Romero, which he was not supposed to lose to. Jake Paul's a good tune-up. Even though he is way bigger, I think Ryan at this point, if he could get a massive bag from that because it would do big numbers, then I think Ryan would do it. But also, I don't know if this is much of a short notice fight. I think this is a fight that you could kind of target next. And I think Oscar was really just saying that wasn't going to happen because of those reasons, because the Mario Barrios fight is probably already signed, which is for a world title for Ryan. Maybe Ryan gets this world title and then goes and fights Jake because I think Netflix would be heavily interested in that because obviously it's two big names, two draws to the media, really. So I think that could do numbers, but that's not happening right now. Another name that got floated around was Rolly Romero, who was rumored to fight Manny Pacquiao, but now Manny Pacquiao has another fight kind of being floated around right now, which we'll get into later. You've probably heard of that as well, unless you're living under a rock. But um, yeah, Rolly Romero got floated around. Romero fights at 147, as well as Ryan. Ryan also fights at 147, going back to that. But Jake's a cruiserweight, obviously, so he's fighting at like the 185 to 200 range. Rolly Romero is 147, although Tank was going to be 135, but he'd probably walk into the ring about 150, 160 if that fight did happen. But yeah, so Romero wouldn't do much weight cutting. I don't know. I don't think that was kind of weird to me because I don't think it's that much of a draw. The general public, the people that Jake Paul is really pushing these fights to, a lot of them don't really know Rolly Romero. I think the actual boxing scene would tune in. And if you can kind of get some of the casual fans convinced that this is a legitimate boxer, legitimate test for Jake in this prime, then I think you can get some of them to tune in. But I don't think it's a fight that Netflix would really be interested in. I could see it being a DAZN pay-per-view sometime in the future if they do want to go that route. Because obviously, I'm saying obviously a lot, sorry. But anyways, we do know that Romero, he has been kind of bag chasing because like I said, the Manny Pacquiao fight was being floated around a lot. It sounded like Rolly wanted that fight. So, yeah, Rolly would take a big payday like that if it was offered. I don't know if that was offered. I've I hadn't seen that one from too many legitimate sources, but I have seen it floated around a lot. Another one was Terrence Crawford. I'll just start here. Terrence Crawford's probably not taking this fight. Coming off a massive win from Canelo, that did good Netflix numbers, so I do think Netflix would be pretty intrigued to get Crawford back on. Crawford, I don't think Crawford's going to do any of these fights right now. Maybe later on, maybe Crawford retires in the future and then comes back and fights Jake one day. But I don't think this is going to happen because Crawford's also teased a Janibek undisputed fight, which I think is more likely. I think Crawford is he's actually chasing real legacy rather than just these massive paydays for kind of just no reason. Does that make any sense at all? But yeah, I just don't think that fight's happening. Another one, which I'm actually very intrigued. I'm intrigued about this one. It's Francis Ngannou. Jake's fought at heavyweight before. Did he look great at heavyweight? No, he didn't. He fought an old Mike Tyson at heavyweight. Francis Ngannou went toe to toe with Tyson Fury. He did get knocked out pretty brutally by Anthony Joshua after that, but there's again just a big skill gap between the two. So Francis Ngannou, who is not a polished boxer, Jake Paul, who is I'd say more of a polished boxer than Francis Ngannou. I think you could make the argument Whether or not that's true, I would say so. So this fight's really intriguing. Ngannou can punch. I don't think that's a question at all. Ngannou can punch. He put Fury down. Even though, yeah, Fury didn't train for the fight. It's pretty obvious Fury did not train for the fight. He came in looking massive, out of shape. He didn't look like Tyson Fury in the ring as well. So I do think that shined a little bit of light on Francis Ngannou that probably shouldn't have been shined on him. But yeah, Francis Ngannou versus Jake Paul, I think it's a really fun fight. You got two guys that can punch, so you'll kind of be on the edge of your seat the whole time. And this is if you're one of those that are just hate watching Jake, which I'm a fan of Jake's career. I'm not gonna lie. I respect it. Yeah, it's not the normal path, it's a different path. And I'm not saying he's a world-class boxer. I think he's better than what people give him credit for. And I think that him and Ngannou is it's a real close matchup. If Ngannou lands something on Jake, if you're one that hate watches Jake, you could see Jake go to sleep. And then again, Jake also has power. If he can land something on Ngannou has shown, although yes, Joshua probably does punch way harder than Jake, Ngannou's shown that he can go down. He can take a fall. So I think that's very intriguing. I think that's probably one of the better ones that you could do. I think Netflix would be interested in that. They would probably put a big knockout bonus on the line because there was rumors that there was a big knockout bonus for the Gervonta and Jake Paul fight. So this is a real legitimate chance that you see a big knockout. Uh Francis obviously he's looking for a big payday. He's fighting in the PFL right now. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever. Another name that got floated around is Edgar Berlanga. I don't see this one happening either. It's just not really a draw. Um, Berlanga, would he take it? Absolutely, because it's probably going to be his biggest payday. Maybe bigger than the Canelo payday that he got. I don't know. Probably being this on Netflix. I don't know, but Edgar Berlanga is kind of eh. It's like I don't really see it happening. That name was kind of random when he got thrown out. Another one that we've kind of heard a lot recently is Anthony Joshua. Eddie Hearn's done a lot of interviews as of late saying that Anthony Joshua is going to be back in the ring before 2025 ends. If not before 2025 ends, it's going to be early 2026, probably January or February. The reported dates for the rescheduled fight, if this does happen, is December. There was two dates that got floated around. I believe it was December 12th and December 16th. That fits right in line because Eddie came out this morning or last night and said that Joshua was going to be back before the end of the year. Is this going to be the Joshua and Jake Paul fight? Jake Paul said the fight's happening. Joshua said the fight's happening. Eddie Hearn said the fight's happening. They didn't mean the fight's happening right now, but they've said this in the past. Jake is dead set on fighting Anthony Joshua. Do I think he's ready for Anthony Joshua? Absolutely not. But if Jake lands something on Joshua, Joshua doesn't have the best chance. It's an intriguing matchup, and again, if you're a Jake Paul hate watcher, then tune in for it because there's a good chance that you'll get to see what you want to see. The last one that I've been hearing, which it sounds like this could potentially be it, is the Nate Diaz rematch. I don't want to see it whatsoever. I think it makes absolutely no sense. It was a one-sided. The last fight in Dallas, it was Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz, the first fight. It was a one-sided, not very much of a crowd pleaser. Nate can't box, Nate can't punch. Nate's kind of like a walking punching bag in there. So it's just another easy victory for Jake. Unless Jake's looking for a tune-up, he just came off the Julio Cesar Chavez fight. Maybe he's looking for a tune-up and wants the Nate Diaz fight. I don't know. Would Netflix be interested? I don't know because I don't know how great the numbers were on the first one, and I don't know how great they'll be for the second one. Because yeah, ticket sales may not have been great for the Gervonta fight. It looked like. Who knows if that was true? Maybe it was a lot of resellers hogging it. Maybe a lot of people would have bought them at last minute. But there is going to be a lot of people out there saying that that is the reason this fight got canceled. All this stuff came up was because the ticket sales weren't there. That's just not true. It's just not true. This is real, legitimate stuff that Tank has gotten himself into. So, anyways, that's a few of the guys that has been rumored for the Jake Paul replacement, which would probably take place in December, January range. Like I said, the dates have been floated around for December, so